Robbie today, and I'm very excited to get talking with him, as he's a fight enthusiast when it comes to filmmaking himself. So I'd like to introduce you to him right now. Hello, Robbie. Let's get started then. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me fine?
Yeah, man. All good.
Awesome. How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Aye, it's been a busy
Since
week.
our last talk.
Yeah, I've been shooting loads, but I think this is me now for the rest of the year. So this is my last sort of pickup thing today, and now it's just editing and then Christmas. So yes, all good.
Nice. Is that you started shooting like your project or what? Or, like, what's the updates on that?
None of that this week. It's just been client stuff this week.
Cool.
So we did a rehearsal 2 weeks ago for that. So we need another probably one. I'd like ideally two, so that it's a very smooth fight. But other than that, that should be good to go. Definitely early next year.
Nice one, man. Obviously, I'm very excited about that project that you were basically selling to me, and I'm liking the idea that you've got like going for it. So, like, do you want to maybe describe the whole idea for filmmakers and filmmaking, and just give us what you've got there now, what you can give us, and like obviously you can avoid what you can't.
Yeah, so just for the upcoming short, just that one.
Yep.
Yeah. The working title basically is Package 327. So it's a very, very vague idea for a fight scene. So it'll be about a 5 to 6 minute short film where we have a smuggler called Harris who is infiltrating a government base, and he's stealing a package. He's been paid to steal it. He has no idea what it is. It's just a metal box with no identifying features on it at all. And there's 3 security guards who are stopping him from stealing it, and that is it. And it's the bulk of the storytelling is through the fight.
Yeah,
it's about a 90-second setup through sort of this satellite looking down on the city type transition, like a Jason Bourne type thing, where they're tracking and they give you all the exposition and the credits and stuff, and then it's straight into it. And it's set in about 2003. So it's very low tech, like flip phones,
love it,
and all that stuff. Head like earpieces, and the score is all like late 90s or 2000s hip hop that I'm getting done. So it's not meant to be taken fully seriously. It is intentionally stupid. But the fight, I want that to blow everyone away. So the start of the fight is the most difficult bit, because I don't want to use any inserts or cuts. I want to show straight away that this is 4 people fighting, and we're going to have a really, really nice, clean one take at the start, and then I'm going to build up as sort of the enemies start to drop off, and how we build up the filmmaking styles. So it's going to be fast and frantic, and it's going to be brutal, but it's more Jackie Chan than The Raid. It's not blood and guts at all.
When you were selling me this, I was intrigued right off the bat because as we said, we're both big fans of Jackie Chan and like his kind of fight styles and all the rest of it. But like I can already have a feel of like when you were buying your DVDs back in the day, and like before the movie started, you had these adverts coming up and trailers, and like you can see that kind of 2003 hip hop kind of music getting played, like overplayed if anything.
Yeah,
in the background of that, so I can kind
of
have that feel from it if that's where I'm going anyway.
Yeah. That's it. That's totally it. That's how I want all of it to feel. Because that era is very, particularly in Hollywood movies, that era is very silly.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot to be taken seriously, particularly when it was like the Matrix sequels and the first 2 Charlie's Angels movies, and like that sort of like level of ridiculousness. But some of the stunt work is still like incredible, but it's designed purely to just to be fun. There's no message. There's nothing that I'm trying to say. It's like I just want to show off like the storytelling for movement, and that is same with any Jackie Chan film. It's like you treat every punch and kick as a line of dialogue. The will still progress, and you kind of need to, especially with old Jackie Chan movies, because there's very, very little plot in those movies. It's like 80% kicking and setting people on fire.
Nah, well that's and this was why I was kind of interested in like getting you on for this episode, Rob, because obviously I'm very into the fights of like film as well, and I feel like every type of like kind of fight that you do on film, there's many you can do. You know, the shaky cam, you could do the sharp cuts, you can do, you know, just the one. I would really like the one take kind of fights that you can sometimes just place a camera in the zone, and if it's a well rehearsed fight and done correctly, then like you've got a great scene. And like for example, we were talking about Daredevil and the I think it's the apartment buildings when he's like just fighting a bunch of people in the hallways. Yeah. And I took inspiration for that when it came to Jacob Tyler. So there's a wee scene in there that you might kind of
I think you showed me
might find
that.
familiar.
Yeah. I think I meant you showed me that, and that looked really good because it was nice and tight. Like as the fight was going on. Yeah, that looked really cool. It did seem like that.
I like the idea that it's like a scramble. It's like a brawl more than anything, because like even though Jacob's he's a nicely trained fighter, but he needs to know how to kind of get himself out of tough situations as well. And like from there, it's like it's like a symbol of like you've just got the lion out of its cage and you're trying to put it back in. Yeah, you know what I mean, so like it says, oh well, once he's escaped, there's no like stopping him basically.
Yeah, totally. Especially if you're shooting like that, it needs to be something that's really like engaging and well rehearsed.
Yeah,
like a really long take where the camera barely moves, like that Daredevil one's good. And same with like Old Boy or pretty much any of the John Wick fights, because they can rehearse for months. There's very little excitement they need to add in camera.
Yeah,
they can just basically just leave the camera there and they'll fill it. Whereas if you shoot with less rehearsal time, you have to put a bit of flair into the camera. So like I try and do that because I'm most of the time working on the fly when it comes to rehearsals. I'm just basically placing the camera where it's going to look the most fun.
Yeah.
But if I had 6 months to shoot one fight, I absolutely would not be moving it as much as I need to.
It is hard until like I think that when I was shooting Jacob Tyler, you end up having more respect than you originally had to shoot fight scenes, because then you realise, I thought this isn't as simple as what we think, because in your head you're thinking, okay, well, we're going to have a fight scene. I was thinking of doing something on the lines of this, and I'm like, wait, I actually have no clue what I'm actually talking about. So like, it is good that you have like that kind of months of preparation in order to shoot that scene in the first place. So in Jacob Tyler, it was funny because we didn't actually prepare for any of them. We done all that stuff on the day, which was funny. But yeah, but like now that I look at it, I'm like, okay, like from now on, you want to be putting more time and effort into that. But I don't know, we got away with it, but it was good.
Yeah, that stuff's really good. There's a lot you can get away with on the fly. For me, the rehearsal stuff comes from the reaction of the person being hit is what you need to make sure they can practice with the most, especially if you're working with like real fighters. Them throwing a punch, they're good at that at any point. If you just say, throw a left hook, they can do that and it'll look good. But getting hit for real does not look as good as pretending to get hit. If you get hit for real on camera, it sometimes doesn't even look like they've touched you. Yeah. Because a real fighter's instinct is to put their head immediately back or not even flinch. But if you're getting
I would agree with that.
Struck, you have to use rehearsal, like overdo it, because the audience needs to understand where that's hit and how it's hurt that person, because not everyone knows what a punch to the face feels like. So you have to let the audience know that hurt.
100%. I think that if you watch like the Creed movies, for example, one of the most smartest kind of shots that I saw was because Michael B. Jordan directed the third one, and I was quite surprised with like how well he done the fight scenes, because again, he's a big anime freak, so he he done like that one with like he gets punched in the gut, and you can actually see in his back that the sweat kind of comes up the way, and it's like the punches are actually going through his body, and obviously you see the reaction of him like kind of feeling it, and it's like wow, like it was quite smart how he done it, and as you said, it's like it's that detail that what convinces you, oh, that looks more sore than actually someone just being like, oh fuck, like it's like because someone can act tough from that, do you know what I mean? But if you actually get hit by it, you react in a totally different way, don't you?
Yeah, it's a good expression, like the punch going through you. And I talk to fighters about that. It's like they're not used to stopping at someone's face. It's like, I'm trying to punch out the back of your head. So stopping here is like a totally different thing. So you work with like dramatic combat people, like that's a totally different way of shooting fight scenes.
I like a stiff jab. I like the ones that they use in a movie that like basic when they come forward and you use the kind of thing and it basically like kind of startles them a wee bit. And then I think Scott Adkins has done that quite a few times. They use it in basically every single Batman film as well. But it's I'm a sucker for that one, to be honest with you, because like Ben Affleck's Batman, like in the warehouse scene, he liked to use a stiff jab and then a roundhouse kick afterwards, and like it kind of makes sense because it's like he's basically just setting himself up for like that kind of finisher, if you like, kind of thing. But
it translates like easily to camera because you don't have to have a martial arts background to understand what they just did.
Yeah,
it's like you just punch someone, then that person is no longer like able to defend themselves, and he kicks them. It's quite an easy like 1-2 thing to shoot.
That. It's funny that you mentioned about how it doesn't look as good on camera as well, because I mind Michael Jai White once said that there was a bunch of stuff that he really wanted to shoot on film, but actually never looked good on film than it does in real life. Yeah, and it's like he really wanted to use this specific kick that he thought would look so good in film, but it actually doesn't look that great. And that must be the most frustrating thing in the planet. You think?
I don't have like the technical accuracy to be able to explain the difference between like the real kick and why it looks better on camera, other than it just does. Because our pal David, he'll be showing me stuff when we're doing like choreo, and it's like, right, that's really cool, but I need you to do this instead of this. And I know that that might have broke your wrist or leave you open for like a clean jab or whatever, but trust me, on camera, it looks so much better because the audience can understand what you've done.
Yeah.
And if the audience can't understand it, which is me when I'm filming it, if I'm already lost, then they will be too. And it's like you need to add in those like that sort of everyday sort of little pain that everyone understands, like trapping your finger in something or stubbing your toe or a bop on the nose.
Yeah.
Like even if you haven't had your nose hit in, like forever, you've like someone might have kicked a football at you when you were a kid. You know that feeling of like your eyes start to water and like things like that. It's really good to put into every single fight because you've now set the pain threshold that people understand.
Yeah, it's because right off the bat, you do get that actually. Like I mind 3 billboards in Ebbing, Missouri when he raids the kind of the advertise. I think it's the marketing office, and he.
They bet that's like the one take going up the stairs.
In the first punch, you could just see in his face how it just kind of his expression just kind of. It's like he's just on a different planet at this point. But then the rest of that scene is just absolutely brutal. What happens, but
the guy gets thrown out the window. Am I remembering that correctly?
He literally, out of pure frustration and wasn't his job, he decides to chuck a man out of a window. It's the best idea you could come up with, isn't it? That was a good film, but like what was the other thing I was going to say? Actually, it was have you seen Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Well, like you were saying about this kind of punch thing. Now, if you look at that scene where Doctor Strange has been a bit of an idiot, and then all of a sudden it's like she puts him in his place, but basically gets his soul to leave his body, but he does it in a way that he traps his arm and then does that, and it's like basically you just see like his chest like kind of stays here, but his body literally just kind of flies out of his, like his soul leaves his body. And I'm like, that's probably the best detail you could do to actually do that. Do you know what I mean?
It's like defining the impact, even though it's ridiculous what you've just shown. It's like it makes you feel it. It's what like literally the impact has travelled like through the frame, and it's now leaving the frame.
Yeah, hi, exactly. It's I think that's quite a smart way of doing it, and like because I get there's so much you can explore in the fight game when it comes to film, can't you? Like it's it's just crazy. Like I like my specific type. I like many different others as well. Like I like to experiment on it if I ever get a bigger budget one day. But like obviously, like here's a question for you. So like as we'll probably get into it, but like what do you think is the greatest fight film of all time?
Oh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
In terms of for fight scenes individually, there's different ways that are like shot that I prefer as opposed to what I think is the best of all time. If I'd say what is the best, I'd say Way of the Dragon, Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But I think that because of what that did for cinema, I know that Enter the Dragon was his like big opening to worldwide success, but the way that he was able to control the fights in Way of the Dragon, because he basically had full creative control over that. There's like, even the fight at the Colosseum is one of the best fights ever. But that's not how, like for me, it's not my favorite, because that's an old movie using big hefty film cameras where there's not a lot of dynamic stuff moving in that, and it's really difficult to compare that to something now, because even what we're talking on now, you can film a fight scene on a phone, and the movement will look much more interesting than it would when he shot Way of the Dragon. I'm pointing out there, I've got a poster of it up there.
Class.
But the way that can be translated now just probably doesn't work. So it is a hard question, but for me, like that set up so many rules of like dramatic combat in film, of even just bringing in like the versus shots, the one-man army, like all the fights that are copied and everything. It's like that. I mean, that was toward the end of Bruce Lee's career. That I don't know. That has always been what I would say is the best. Is the Way of the Dragon, because it has such a variety of fights in it that show off all of Bruce Lee's skills, and then it made an entire generation of stunt actors, performers, and action directors working now who watched that when they were younger and went, right, that's what I want to do. So for me, I would always say that is the best. That's the pinnacle of how you can frame what is the best fight film.
And would you say that's better than Enter?
No, I don't want to get in arguments with Bruce Lee, like diehard fans, but I would say I prefer it to Enter the Dragon.
No, like I love them all, to be honest with you. I think that like the way it is a really good film. I mind when I watched Enter the Dragon for the first time on Sony movies, but like that channel you had in Sky, like you had your Sky movies, and then you would flick a wee bit by, and Sony had its own channel dedicated to kind of not B movies, but like kind of it was like Sony something, but anyway, like I mind I watched Enter the Dragon for the first time on that, and I was kind of it was a great watch for sure. And then I finally I got to see it on the big screen because it was an anniversary screening, and I enjoyed every minute of it again. So nice. The joys of having a limitless card, like because they have all these kind of screenings now, and they seem to have brought that back now, like because you used to never really get like older films screened as much as you used to, but now they've kind of started to bring that back. I really like it because
there's a lot of anniversary screenings.
Me and Peter were supposed to go and see Scarface the other day, but it was sold out, nice. So we didn't get to see it, unfortunately. But that would have been good.
It is cool seeing restorations like that. Throughout the year, I'd seen The Wicker Man anniversary and
Great
the Friday the 13th anniversary. But
another great film.
I'd never seen the original Friday the 13th. I did not know that Jason wasn't in that movie or anything like that.
I know.
I knew nothing about
funny
it.
That, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny that
it was weird watching
the most
a movie
iconic,
that old.
Yeah.
And still
most
being
iconic
surprised.
character of all time isn't even in his first movie.
Yeah. That's crazy. But no, I'm trying to think of like another example, because the Way of the Dragon is such a, it's not a cliched answer, but I know that so many people will say that. I think it's different for when you pick like different genres of action. You can get like a definitive one. I would say my favorite, just on camera work, not as the movie, because the movie is not it's not the best out of all the other options you can pick. But the Scott Adkins film called Ninja Shadow of a Tear, which is the second one.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it yet.
That for me is the best camera work ever put to fight scenes, purely down to movement and editing as they shoot, and that level of precision the director Isaac Florentine worked on is just incredible. And that's a guy who started in Power Rangers, like choreographing the original fights, and then moved up to meeting Scott Adkins, and then from there they were able to just create like magic together. They just met at the perfect time when he was his peak of like physicality, and what they made is just unreal. So I would always say like that, but that's more of like personal preference in terms of you'll never top that. Like cameras won't get any better. That's just that works because the cameras are lighter.
No, of course. It's interesting that you mentioned Power Rangers the last time, and I was gonna mention a bit more. This was when we were kind of about to leave in that as well. But like because I was a big fan of it when I was a kid as well. But and obviously the choreograph of it all was actually very impressive back in the day as well. I think that's why like it was quite ahead of its time, wasn't it? Apart from like the kind of background CGI of things and stuff, obviously it doesn't hold up. But for like the fight scenes and stuff, some of it was pretty incredible, and like
it still is.
It still is,
think it's great.
Like did you like the newest version of Power Rangers, the movie with Bryan Cranston and it?
There's bits I liked about it. I wouldn't say I liked it because when it got to the Power Ranger stuff, it's all at the end, and it was very, very short.
It's another one of those movies, isn't it? It's like I do agree with that. It's a big build-up origin story.
And all the fights for CGI, like as soon as they started moving, it's like the new like Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Like as soon as he's moving, that's not him.
Yeah.
Like during the fight scenes, it's like I know that he can do a backflip in real life, but he's not doing any of this. It's all CGI. So you can get like really impressive camera angles through animation, but it doesn't mean that it's any better than what the original Power Rangers TV show did that had like no money.
It's funny because like as you said about Tom Holland, like he done a majority of like some stunts with a CGI suit on, but then he had like, and obviously you're doing a lot of fights with it just being CGI, and this was my biggest argument about Black Panther. As much as I still like the film, I don't think it's as good as what people are making it out to be. Like I think there's no one better than Chadwick Boseman for that film and stuff. I thought it was unbelievable. But the final boss fight with Killmonger, for example, it's like something out of a PS2 cutscene, and I'm like that. Like what has happened from? Because if you've watched Civil War, there was a fight between Bucky Barnes and Black Panther and the rooftop, and it's literally just it is literally like as it is, apart from a CGI arm, obviously. But mate, like that fight was incredible, absolutely incredible. But then you go into Black Panther, and it's like you're using this big, massive CGI train fight scene, and it was just a bit of a waste.
Aye, and that was the choreographer for the Creed films that did that fight.
Ryan Coogler.
Oh no, he was
he directed it.
I can't remember the guy's name, but he'd done the choreography for that. And I like the movie. I remember I didn't like any of the last 40 minutes. I know they the actual people were rushed to do the CGI. They had something like, you know, a few weeks to do that entire scene, but it does show it. Yeah, it's
massive. Man. Shows, because the thing is, like, the majority of, like, I think it is maybe the last 40 minutes, as you said, because, like, some of it is still pretty incredible. Like when they're in the lab and they're testing out new gear and stuff, like that is really good. But when it comes to a fight standpoint, you could see how slow the punches were on that as well. And
that's a good point.
Yeah,
but there's the fight like halfway through when they're on the waterfall, where they're like with the spears and they're like they have to challenge. That was all for real, isn't it?
That was
I know they weren't
because again, like
on the waterfall, but that wasn't CGI suits. That was more impressive.
Yeah, that stuff's brilliant. Like, while one of the most impressive fight scenes that I've seen, again, of Jackie Chan, whether you're a fan of the movie or not, it's another thing. Like, but the Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, but like when he's fighting off the bullies, because I like that we were in a generation at that point and it wasn't okay to hit kids, while Mr. Miyagi, at the other hand, just beat the crap out of these kids. While then they broke that rule again, because then Cobra Kai comes out season 1, and Johnny beats the crap out of these high school kids again. So it's like he just doesn't care. But how he just doesn't throw one single punch, but still manages to beat the absolute living shit out of these kids. It's just incredible.
No, I mean, I watched that when it came out, so I'm trying to remember, but I know that it's in like a playground. Does it involve a bag?
Yeah, it was like in the back alley of something.
Yeah.
Aye. And it's quite sad. It was like, I think they impacted the bullying a bit better, just because, again, it's more head, while like back in the Karate Kid days, I thought, again, I can't touch that. I thought that was a great movie. It's one of my favourites. Second and third is meh. But like when it comes to Cobra Kai, I love that they've continued it on and stuff, and it's a great series. But there's so many, couldn't you? Like, again, well, there you go. There's a subject we can talk about: iconic fight scenes, because that is down in my list here.
Oh, is it?
So, like,
okay.
If you were to consider an iconic fight scene,
there's how long do you have? I could talk for a long time on that. Iconic is in Way of the Dragon, just because we were on that. So Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris at the end in the Coliseum.
I love that scene.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely iconic. It is. I'm trying to think of ones that would fit better in the question, like as in iconic fights that are copied by other people, whether it be a spoof or a style that is taken. So there's probably, I mean, basically all of the first Matrix, because that would probably fit the iconic brief. As in everyone has copied that, even if they're not intentionally doing it, but adding that style of, you know, like the wire fu and the slow motion, it becomes like, oh, that's like a Matrix style fight, which is a compliment.
It's funny because Nico, he's watching the live right now. He's the biggest Matrix fan, so you'll be appreciating this one.
Oh yeah, sure. Can you see my Matrix photo there? There's Neo fighting the agents, like that one.
Oh, quite. And you framed them all as well.
Yeah. And then I've got Drunken Master, Jackie Chan at the top, and then that is specifically Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2.
I need to start making more of an effort with these ones, man, because again, like, the stuff that I've always wanted to like put up on the walls and stuff, I just never have.
Just from my favourite scene.
Yeah,
I'm not even like putting that much effort into it, but I would say if that's a really good example. If you can think of a fight where someone goes, oh, that's like that. A really good one in Old Boy is that tracking shot is iconic. Maybe not for the choreography. Yeah, but when you see other fights like that, everyone goes, oh, that's an Old Boy shot. Whereas the remake of Old Boy did like the worst interpretation of that fight they possibly could have done.
Yeah.
Have you seen the remake?
Oh yeah. I like it. I must admit, I actually do like it. The twist is a bit shocking, but you know.
Yeah. I don't think the movie is terrible, but the way that they shoot that fight compared to how it's done in the original, it's like they make Josh Brolin essentially the Terminator in that fight. He just walks through everyone. He's getting hit with big tubes of light stuff and like wood and bricks thrown at him, and he's like totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not using a real one take. It's all stitched.
Yeah,
Whereas in
yeah.
the original, it's an
I
actual
do
one
agree.
take. The guy is knackered. He gets the
Mhm.
shit beat out of him.
Yeah,
And that is copied in so many
yeah,
things. Back to Daredevil, that hallway shot is supposed to look like the old boy
yeah.
shot. So I'd say that would definitely be iconic. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to think of my list. What would be like visually iconic for stuff?
I think nobody has to be in that kind of
The boss fight.
because again, as much as it's like, because I love the film, it's one of, again, like I say favorite films. It's not ranked to anything, but I've got like a favorites list.
Yeah.
And it's not ranked to anything, but it is one of my favorite films. But it's not the most perfect movie of all time, but it is a pretty solid movie. But that
Yeah.
bus scene just is pretty iconic to me because it's like
Right.
one of these top viewed YouTube videos that you'll kind of look at. It's like, have you ever seen that nobody fight? Have you ever seen even like the Shang-Chi bus fight was pretty good, and then you have again like I'm not even thinking straight here because like iconic fights would be like even just the final fight to Never Back Down, the final fight to Blood and Bone, Michael Jai White.
Oh yeah,
like it's stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, iconic for the nobody fight because it's so recent. It's weird that I don't think folk would have copied that already, but I totally get what you mean because I thought nobody was fine, but that bus fight was incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people who's watched that YouTube clip over and over again.
Yeah.
I love that fight, and I thought the whole movie was going to be on that level. The rest of the fights are fine, and it's 8, 7, 11, I'm pretty sure, to do the rest. They're still great, but that fight, because he's doing so badly in it, is so entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted that to be its own style. Like when John Wick came out, that became its own style. So particularly the first movie, that club fight, I would say is iconic because so many other directors have tried to copy that and they have failed because John Wick is so specific to Keanu Reeves giving up like a year of his life to rehearse these movies.
Yeah.
And you can't get that with another actor. And you can't get the insurance with another actor either. So like that level of commitment is just like unrivaled. So I get what you mean. Like that, if it's a fight that sticks out more than the movie, I'd say is iconic. And for me, nobody is a very good example of that.
That whole, I would say that whole nightclub scene in the first John Wick for sure is iconic because is the whole like the build up, like the music choice, I think is so cool as well, and just like you know, it starts with Think. I don't like if you know that's like it starts with Think, and then he's just taking out these guys stealthily, and then he finally sees the guy
in the bathhouse.
Yeah.
He goes into the club. Yeah. I love that.
And then the music drops, and then and how he's like doing that. Oh, the gun fights are just absolutely sick as hell. But like because the thing is, I think gunfights can be very boring unless you do it in a correct way and stuff. Like I think that heist movies do it in a really cool way. Like Heat, for example.
Oh, right,
I think I'll never get sick of that film because of like how they're using it at the right moment. They're not kind of.
They're also taking out the music as well, so like the guns are like more prominent as well because they're so loud in that final bit.
Well, it's the same with Den of Thieves. Like
I've not seen that.
Den of Thieves was quite impressive. I thought because the film didn't really do that well, but I still think there's some like kind of good gems in that. Like,
is that the Jared Butler one?
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen that.
And obviously, Ice Cube's son is in it as well.
Okay.
50 Cent's in it. There's actually a really funny scene in it where he takes like the daughter's boyfriend, like, you know, date to the prom into this garage, and it's just full of like his like kind of heavy muscle men, and it's just one of the funniest things. It's like, right, this is what's going to go down with my daughter, kind of thing, and it's quite funny. It's a good scene. That's iconic itself, you know. But
that fits the brief.
Yeah, it's there's so many, isn't there? Like there's because again, like I think even Michael Jai White's fights in Never Back Down 3 were quite good as well.
Yeah, So sticking with Michael Jai White, I'd say Undisputed 2. Have you seen that?
Yeah, with Scott Adkins.
Yeah, that final fight, that's Isaac Florentine as well. That final fight is one of, if not the best, like, way of shooting a in the ring fight. Because when you're fighting in the ring, it's not always as exciting as when you're shooting on the street or outside, because there's no real threat of someone dying or getting seriously injured because there's rules, and that restricts it. So you have to have that restriction when you're shooting. It's like, how can we make this fun? But because it's in a prison, there's not really any rules.
Yeah.
And they are like actually beating the crap out of each other. That is so much more fun than watching something like Warrior in the ring, which I still think is great.
Great fun.
But when they're in the ring, it is, okay, this is MMA. There's rules, it's a sport. Whereas that they're in a prison and they're fighting, and it's, you know, they can kind of do what they want, and also the creatively you can have so much fun with that. And I wish that more people shot stuff in the ring like that, where the camera is in the ring, and you're moving with it. And I think Creed 3, just to bring it back to that, did such a good job of putting the camera with the competitors.
Yeah,
it was so excuse me, it was so well done.
Yeah, all the Creeds, like, you know, even because the difference, I think, with the Rocky films were phenomenal, but I feel like back then, obviously it worked, but basically Rocky was just getting beaten the absolute crap out of for the first, you know, like few rounds, and then like and it just took so long for him to finally get into a fight, and then it's just all of a sudden he's just like, and then he finally like does his thing, and you're getting all excited, and like with the Drago fight again, iconic. I think the Rocky 3 was probably the best one, because like he actually just controls the fight the most, but then he gets
at the end, the Clubber Lang fight.
Yeah, the Clubber Lang, and he finally goes over the top. I said, just keep hitting me. It wouldn't really work like that, but well, Creed 2, I thought the final fight to that was just amazing. Yeah, like, you couldn't do any better than that.
Yeah, that is the best part of that movie, because I like Creed 2, but I love the first Creed. But the fight at the end of the second Creed is it is absolutely brilliant.
And the funny thing was as well, you think it was going to be so cliche with how the story was going to go. It's like, oh, it's Drago's son, of course, and it's going to be against Paul Creed's son, and like as much as I'm like, this could be a good idea and stuff, but a lot of people whacked it before it even came out, and I'm like, okay, but I'm still intrigued to see where this goes.
Yeah.
And by the way, the emotion of that story, like, it's actually heartbreaking what happens in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, for the Dragos and stuff, I know, like, ah, Jesus, this has worked a lot better than we thought it was going to be.
They made him more of a character than he ever was, because he was just like he's essentially a robot in Rocky 4 who could kill people. And this one, they like made him like a sad like dad who's essentially in mourning for his whole like country and his wife, and he failed everyone, and they made him so much more interesting.
Aye, that's the beauty of Stallone's writing, I think. Like Stallone just somehow manages to, it just gets writing to some level, because again, like, if you must be a fan of First Blood as well, eh?
Yeah, and Rambo 2 specifically, mainly because there's more action in it. And
did you like
really over the
Last
top?
Blood?
I thought that the bit where he cut out a guy's heart and showed it to him while it was still beating was pretty insane.
Collarbone scene. Oh, holy fuck!
Oh yeah, that was crazy. That one, particularly the Last Blood, had the same effect of Power Rangers and all that stuff, where all the action was like at the end.
Yeah,
and I just felt the build-up wasn't interesting enough. It took so long to get them in the den under his house and him killing everyone. Once he started doing that, I was like, oh, bro, I'm a kid again watching Rambo.
It was like an hour and 20-something minutes, wasn't it? It was like that was the build-up, and by my God, the emotion just kicks in like so quickly because of like what actually happens in it, and it's actually brutal what happens to his like kind of it's like, it's brutal. Man, and then you're like, right, okay, I can now understand why you take a collarbone out of the guy's out of his body, the heart, cut the guy's head off. It's absolutely crazy. But
it's nuts.
But like I said,
before we move on, I've just got one more like iconic fight, which probably is the most iconic fight, which I completely forgot to mention because of how many times it was redone, is Fist of Fury's fight, where Bruce Lee comes back to his old school and fights all the old students and the master. That fight was then remade with Jet Li for Fist of Legend, and they did the same fight again, but they had lighter cameras. And then that same movie was turned into a TV show with Donnie Yen. So, and the same fight was done. It's almost like this like legendary sort of rite of passage, is that if you are the king of martial arts cinema, you get to play Bruce Lee in, you know, the Fist of Fury fight. And that's 3 of the best of all time have done that. And it's kind of like the most over the top, but story driven in a way you can understand, one-man army thing. He's like, I was the best student here, and I've come back to fight you all. And I don't want to spoil why, but he takes on everyone.
I will need to watch that.
Yeah,
because again, it's another one I've not watched, and I really didn't kind of keep up with these ones. But like, I think Donnie, again, like, is it It Man?
Yeah.
Is it I? Because like, see, the thing is, I got brought up when the first people were calling it IP Man, and I'm like,
all right. I've always
called
it It Man. I could be wrong.
Is it
I've always said It Man.
It Man.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. But I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal film.
Yeah,
like the first one especially. Like, I mind Michael Jai White was talking about it, and he was saying that, he was like, what character, like, what actor would I do a movie with, kind of thing. And says, see, I kind of look at Donnie Yen, like from Ip Man and stuff, and the guy was saying, oh no, I'm like, you have to be saying someone famous, and and Michael Jai White was like, are you being serious right now? Like, Donnie Yen's not famous.
He is the top of the martial arts game in the world right now.
He's in the A-list of like your fighter kind of people. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was quite embarrassing, I must admit. Like when he said that. But
Ip Man is.
Yeah, Donnie Yen, man. He's done some incredible stuff. But with the thing that I was saying was with Stallone's writing. Was they was saying, like, when they were in the restaurant, and he said, he was talking about how he lost basically everything because of that fight.
Yeah,
and he was saying that it's like my wife, you know, I lost the whole of Russia. I lost basically my whole reputation.
Yeah,
and then it was when Stallone realized that he was taking things a bit too far. It says, well, you know. It's like we do stuff different around here because around here we put strays away. Because he basically called him a stray, like living in Ukraine from Russia, and I'm like, holy fuck! When I heard that on screen, I was like, fucking hell! I was like, because these are the kind of things that you kind of note down, like, Like I'm very Quentin-esque when you try and take little ideas and try and make them in your own original way possible. But Stallone I think his writing's pretty something when it comes to it.
Yeah, and that's a good way of getting someone to care about the person in the fight, and particularly the first Rocky, like, you really want him to win.
Yeah,
and then when the fight goes on, it's like, it doesn't matter if he wins. It's all about him, like, going the distance. He just wants to show that he's good. Doesn't care about winning, and that's vital in any fight scene. And you have to have some level of stakes that you want. Whoever's being, you know, hit, or whoever's the good guy, you have to want them to win for whatever reason. You can set that up in, you know, an hour. You can set it up in 30 seconds. You just need something for the audience to go, oh, right, I don't want them to get hurt. That's it. Just some form of likability. And Rocky is one of the most likable fictional characters ever. So you want him to succeed.
It keeps coming back as well, doesn't it? Like, whenever it comes around, because like there's Stallone, where like in the first Rocky, Mickey keeps saying, he's like, stay down, stay down. And then in the first Creed film, he was saying, he says, like, I'm calling it. He says, no, let me finish. He's like, I've got to prove it. And he's like, prove what? It's like, not a nobody, and it's like it hits hard at home,
Oh
man. Like
yeah,
it's kind of
I
because
love that scene.
then Rocky realized a bit of something on himself as well, not just Apollo. Like, and he was like, well, I kind of understand that because I'm a bit of a hypocrite if I didn't say I'd done the same.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, completely agree.
yeah, no, it's phenomenal films. But yeah, I think that. Um, by the way, is there any like specific films that you're kind of looking forward to seeing in terms of like the kind of fight industry?
Oh, coming up.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's a good question. There's new Gareth Evans movie called Havoc coming out.
I know that one.
Starring,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh, it's
starring
good.
Tom Hardy. So I'm not particularly interested in the plot. I just want to see how he does the action
Yeah,
because his fight scenes are incredible. I don't know when that's coming out, but that's definitely I'm definitely looking forward to
yeah.
that. That will be that'll be insane. I'm trying to think. Donnie Yen's film came out in China recently. I can't remember the name, but he directed it. So those fight scenes, from what I've seen clips of on his Instagram, look just mind blowing. And he was basically like to do whatever he wants because he's Donnie Yen, and he makes so much money for that like production company. So that's something I'd be really looking forward to. I don't know. I always get very hesitant, particularly for like Hollywood releases, because I can get really excited about something
Yeah,
that I was like, oh, that did so well last time, and then I'm burned because it's like you've completely ruined it once you get to the edit. Like we talked about the last Mission Possible, Fallout has an incredible hand-to-hand fight scene in the bathroom. All the stunt work is amazing, and then Dead Reckoning comes out, and it's all the stunt work is amazing, but all the
hmm
hand-to-hand stuff is absolutely naff. And I
yeah.
had such
It's too
high,
simple.
yeah, and I had such high expectations because they nailed it in the previous one, and then this time it's just elbows and quick cuts. That's it. That's
Hmm.
every fight, and it's so boring. And you spent all this money shooting a fight scene on top of a real moving
Yeah,
train, and yet you'd go cut. And it's like you could have just been on a green screen. It's like I don't know why you did that, and also it's a really boring fight. So it is difficult for me to get like actually
yeah.
excited for them because I'll be like, oh, it's done. Same with Bullet Train. Bullet Train cast
Veteran.
my favorite martial arts actor, Andrew Koji,
Hmm.
and he didn't get a fight scene in it.
Yeah,
So I was so excited for
typical.
that movie. And then you watch it and it's like, okay,
It's
right, this is rubbish.
it's okay, and it's not a great film. Like
No,
people are really overhyping this film, but
yeah,
I think that it's still a good watch. It's still a funny watch. I love the twins in it. Again, like those characters are really likable and stuff, but they
I
keep
think
just
it is probably
bringing
more
memes out of it.
enjoyable than
Aye,
I have it. I have it in like the bottom, like in hell
yeah,
of like my list because of what they did to Andrew Koji. But
yeah,
if I was watching it and he wasn't in the movie and I wasn't expecting him to do a fight, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more because I would have been able to watch it as a film. But I'm
yeah.
like, okay, show him off on the big screen because he's only done stuff in TV. There's this big break. Oh, right, cool, done it. They've ruined it. Same with Snake Eyes. He was cast in that.
Mm,
He did all the fights for that. He learned like a completely new way of using two swords, so they look better on camera. And then the movie comes out, and they shot the whole movie like this close, and just did
yeah,
this for every single fight, and just ruined everything that he'd been working towards.
yeah. I think yeah, no, it is annoying when they kind of ruin all this kind of thing. Like I must admit though, I'm really looking forward to Beekeeper. I don't know
Oh
what.
yeah, I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah,
It's the
like
Statham one.
people really batter eyelids when it comes to like Statham unless you're a fight fan. Like,
Uh
because everyone appreciates Statham for being like the like kind of fighter of Hollywood as well as like your Stallone's, Rock, and all the rest of it. But obviously, well, more Jai White and that. But like, obviously, Statham's like an A-lister, but like Beekeeper looks really interesting. I actually really like it.
I like from the trailer. I liked how simple it was, and that kind of goes back to the success of like the first John Wick. Is that it's not complicated. It
Yeah,
is very like I don't care how generic the idea is, which is, like one more job at retirement kind of thing. Like, I don't care about that as long as you do it well, because that's the plot of every single action movie.
Yeah.
It's always like an older man who was the best in the world, and now he's got a family, or in this case, bees. It's like now he's a beekeeper, and he's been brought back into the fight world, and he's got to kill a bunch of people. I don't care how generic it is as long as the action's good.
Yeah.
So I am hesitant with that because the trailer showed some really good stuff, but I don't know if that's because they were the good-looking moments.
Yeah,
because Statham's not going to put the same level of.
I think that's how David Ayer. I like David Ayer. I must admit, he is good. I think he gets slighted more than he deserves, but that's how he does his trailers. He likes to show a lot of his good moments, like before it's released. That's why Suicide Squad got so much hype until it came out. But Suicide Squad was like, it got a real bad treatment for David Ayer because they reshot that whole thing months before that even came out. So it was a shame what happened to him. Do you know what I mean? It's just not fair. But we could have got a much better film there.
I would agree. And I think that if you're putting that, I mean, also that film had so many really, really, really high level A-listers in it that I was already hesitant on how they were going to shoot the action.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to throw Will Smith through this wall.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like, showing the best stuff in the trailer versus what you get. And I think I don't know, I do want to be excited for Beekeeper. I really do.
Yeah. But
I don't think Statham's going to put the same amount of effort as he did into the first Transporter film as he does with this.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll do that. He's got too much money now. He's like, when he was doing it then, he wanted to show what he could do. And now he's super famous. He's like, he doesn't have to do all the big stunts.
Well, the problem is with Statham now as well is like the same thing that he has in his contract is like Dwayne and that, like you can't lose a fight, you can't do this and that.
Oh, right, yeah, I remember you mentioned that before.
I'm just like, but mate, like if you want to make a real good, impactful story, like I think your character gets more respect if you do lose a fight as well, because like again, like you're looking at Indiana Jones, you're looking at there's some films that they don't even want to fight at all.
Yeah.
And then, but they still become the more successful in the end. But I think that, I just think that hopefully it is good. Even if he is just like a guy that he says, no, like I'm here to kill this one person only, and that is going to be my goal. And he does it with such ferocity and such, avengement that like it'll be badass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hopefully it is.
I think that again, like, see, we're talking about like iconic scenes again, but like there's nothing better in my opinion when it comes to like a fight scene when anger is what fuels them into a good fight. Like, because like sometimes anger gets the better of someone, but see when they turn that anger into confidence and they say, right, okay, no, like you're literally going down. Like Jack Reacher seems to have that kind of thing. Like, but like I mind in Spider-Man 2 when he gets his power back and he can't even see out his own glasses anymore and he just drops them.
Yeah.
And he says, right, I'm back. He goes and fights. Again, iconic fight. He fights Doc Ock in the train and stuff.
Just going to say that. I was looking at my list. I just found my list of all my favourite ones. That's like at the top of one of my most rewatched.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yeah, it's so good. Even on like the extended cut as well. Like that fight just goes on for ages. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's so good. That's it. It's like you don't really get that anymore in Marvel, for example. Like there was even times in Endgame that you're just like that. Okay, but you could have still done a wee bit better. Like I thought the Captain America versus Thanos when he holds the Mjolnir, I thought that was fucking phenomenal. But then it just ends so quickly. Do you know what I mean? Like while and where was the Hulk rematch? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, see, in Infinity War, it gets absolutely humiliated, and then it's like he doesn't even want to fight again, and like they don't. I just don't think you can disrespect the Hulk that badly when there's literally a comic that says the last person that Thanos wants to fight is the Hulk.
Oh,
Because
right.
the angrier he gets, the more stronger he gets.
Right.
That's how he works.
Okay.
And it's
Wow.
but this is the thing. It's like you always think that you should be fucking running these places, do you know what I mean? Instead of
That's you want justice for Hulk. That's what you want.
I do, like, because it's like it just. But now look at him. He's still a laughing stock with his Smart Hulk thing and that. Just they've never really done justice to him at all.
That's a good point
terrible.
though about like how those movies, what's the word, regressed.
Yeah.
Into sort of less and less like practical fights, and I think it's because their creative output is it's spread thin.
Yeah.
Whereas Sam Raimi only had to make one movie, and he's like, okay, I'm just making Spider-Man 2. I don't have to worry about a third one. So you can put all your like passion into the one film, instead of like, you know, connecting to 8 other things and then a Disney Plus show. It's like, okay, we can make this train sequence be absolutely incredible because we can spend months planning it, shooting it, getting the CGI and practical stuff working perfectly. Whereas now a lot of action stuff, particularly Marvel things, they're pre-made in a computer before the movie's even shot.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They just copy that because it's like we don't need the actors. It's too expensive to shoot all this. Because that's what I don't like about Shang-Chi. As much as that bus fight is amazing, like they're not on a real bus; they're on a soundstage.
No, I know.
And it's like you can be like, we're paying homage to Police Story. It's like, well, you're not really. Police Story. Jackie Chan was on a real bus and
he was on a real bus. It wasn't
like
official.
I get that. I'm not saying that. But I get what they're doing. It's like it's cheaper, it's safer.
Yeah.
But you're not paying homage. You're doing like a visual reference.
Aye.
It's not the same. It's nowhere near as impressive to have a fight.
There's regression, as you said.
Yeah,
there's actually regression.
Splits in half, and it's all CGI, and then he's like catching people as they're falling through the thing. It's like, yeah, it's fun. It's cartoony. But it's not on the level of Jackie Chan, like literally hanging off that bus as it spins around the corner. It's like that. Yeah, you can't do that again. You won't top that.
Yeah, no, like, there's nothing. Yeah, like there's quite a few of those fights that you kind of look at and you think that because like see, even some of the most amazing fights are in probably the worst movies. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, see. Like Wolverine Origins was a fucking terrible movie. Yeah. But the fight scenes between him and Sabretooth were so cool. Like,
they're very over the top. They're very fun.
Aye.
It is a bad
but it was the anger got the better of him. But then the second and third time when he gets the adamantium, and then you're like, okay, right, he's out for blood. And like you can see that he's like and that's what I love about it. Like, you know, I love because in that film they put over the top of it was like, have you ever heard of the song "You're Going Down"?
No, who's that by?
Sick Puppies.
Okay.
I'll send you. It's really, it goes over most of your kind of good revenge fights and stuff.
Right.
But even like stuff like that, and then I remember when it's like there was a compilation that got took down for some reason, and it was basically like, "Don't fight Batman when he's angry." And it was when Batman beat the absolute crap out of Deathstroke. These were animated fights, but and he beats the absolute crap out of him. And when Deathstroke should be putting up more of a fight than that. And then there's he fights Talon, who's again another dangerous fighter. But he says, and it was like he says he made it personal because he got his son involved in all this and stuff. And then he says, so this is going to hurt, and I'm going to enjoy it. And but like even though he's fighting with anger, he still has complete control over the fight. And it's like Talon's like so embarrassed at the fact that I am getting my absolute arse kicked here, and it's like, and it's not even a competition. Like, I just love that. Do you know what I mean? For a hero, especially.
Yeah, that's Court of Owls where he fights Talon in Batman, like in the comic.
Oh yeah. Court of Owls, yeah. Oh, the Court of Owls, yeah. Sorry, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite runs. I love that, and that fight. It's so weird to talk about it because it's not filmed; it's in a comic book.
Yeah.
But that you can get that level of anger that you're talking about. You can get it across really well. It's like panels and those like frame by frame comic moments because they're able to push the tension in a way that's very intimate, and you don't, like you can't miss it because it's animated. It's not like the actor can't get it across, or the shot wasn't right, the light wasn't right. That you can perfectly translate anger, and you can get perfectly posed fights. And I think that just because we've only got 15 minutes left, for me, there's some of the best fights are in animation. Like the first Kung Fu Panda is one of the best martial art films ever. Like, it's insane.
And there's a fourth one coming.
Yeah, and the way that they can shoot stuff like that is because they don't have a camera that restricts their movements. The creatures that are fighting don't have fatigue or gymnastic like limitations or anything like that. They can just do whatever is animated. I love all that. And have you seen Blue Eye Samurai that just came out?
I've not. No.
There's some incredible fights in that are not possible in the real world, and they're very gory, but they are so fun to watch. Yeah. Because of the ideas that you can do in that could never be done realistically. Yeah. There's a fight where she's got a wooden stick and she gets a guy to bite down on it. So she does this, and all of his teeth come out, and they're all stuck in the wood. But then she spins the stick, and then the teeth go everywhere, and she kicks the tooth midair, and it goes in another guy's eye. And it's like you could not shoot that in live action without it being a comedy. But when it's done in animation, it's really good animation. It's so fun to watch because it's like that's a moment that you cannot achieve.
No, unless you're in this medium. Like, do you remember? Is it Dark Hunter? What was it called? Darkman. With Liam Neeson and Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Like, see that now that I think about it, like that film, I was scared of when I was younger, but now I look at it now and I'm like, this is actually hilarious. But like, there's the bit when the guy's pointing the finger, and then he decides to like bend his finger, and he just tells like that's gonna
like rubber. Yeah.
And as the guy's like,
Yeah, that movie brilliant. Is basically a cartoon. Like it's like a Saturday morning cartoon with blood and guts and stuff. It's so over the top.
That's a good movie. That was a good movie back in his day, but like, no, like, see what you were saying, like in the comic, it was great. They done Batman versus Robin, and it was like he fights Talon in that, but he ends up losing the kind of end to that fight because they make it that Robin goes to fight him and stuff, and like this is the whole legacy of like Damian Wayne. But that was what I was saying. Like this might intrigue you a wee bit, but eventually I want to be making a Batman fan film because
no way,
can't really make anything else but that, you know, like if you were to make like kind of the Spider-Man Lotus, but eventually I've always wanted to make my own Batman film.
Do you mean feature?
Yeah,
like a feature fan film. Oh wow, it
would cost a lot of fucking money, but you know, yeah, but the idea was that I wanted David to play Deathstroke, and
no way.
And you would make like a kind of Batman versus Deathstroke kind of film, like, and I think that would just be unbelievable. Like
David in anything, like that Daredevil one that we're going to work on next year. Like he's just perfect for that.
He's too good at everything, isn't he?
I know.
Me and Nico keep saying that if you were to shoot Jacob Tyler now, I'm like, I would cast David as Jacob Tyler because I'm so out of shape now. It's incredible. Like, but like, yeah, like he's still awesome as Gaz and all the rest of it. But like, again, you've got to use the potentials of what David has. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can do it all. He's the best. But yeah, you've got a good team for you to get like a good fan film out of it. That's ideal.
Yeah, I think eventually down the road we would definitely still make it and stuff. It would probably take a good bit of time. I've got an idea for a story as well.
Yeah.
But the casting for all that would be very tough as well, though. You know what I mean? Like it's like casting that up and stuff, and it would be quite good. Like I would need a bit of time because I got this was like my way of like if I've ever wanted to play Batman, here's your opportunity. But at least make yourself convinced first. So starve yourself to death for maybe a couple of years, and then you've got it. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of
don't do that.
I won't do it, but it's
Don't do that.
I'll definitely put the effort in this time to like kind of be convincing enough because out of all Batman actors, Ben Affleck definitely done just that when he got
Right?
buffed.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I mean,
when
he's
he buffed up for that role.
humongous
Yeah,
in that film.
like there was people even asking like him for advice, and he was saying that he was laughing at the fact people were asking for him advice because he was actually the one that ate probably the worst in Hollywood. Like he always had Wendy's, he always had like all this different types of junk food and
Right?
stuff, and he was saying that says, "Oh yeah, like going into that diet was the most miserable time." But it's like, but how did you do it? Because you got yourself in like this ridiculous shape and stuff, and it was just like, just be depressed for 6 months, basically.
But he's getting paid like tens
Yeah.
of millions of dollars though. So don't do that. Don't get yourself depressed for no pay. Like that's the counterbalance. Like Chris Hemsworth and all that. It's like they're getting paid to look like that.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid a lot of money. So yeah, don't get depressed.
The most impressive one with Chris was 4-4, even though it wasn't the greatest movie. It was like the production design of it was phenomenal, but like his body for that man was just crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's insane. Yeah. Probably too much.
But like, there's a question for you. Would you say you're a big fan of like Zack Snyder's kind of fight styles with the slow motion and the like kind of fast cuts and then onto the kind of like how it could like it's like one kind of motion, then all of a sudden it goes to the like he likes the slow motion.
Yeah. I was just going to say, just because we've only got 15 minutes, do you have any other questions as well, so I know how long to keep my answer?
Oh yeah, no. Well, it's basically simple ones because obviously it's a fight topic, but basically,
I'll quickly answer that Zack Snyder one though. Is like yes, when it looks like it's doing Matrix stuff, and I didn't mind it in 300.
Yeah.
But for me, I really like Watchmen a lot.
Watchmen's
but
class.
There was some overkill of the slow-mo, speed-up slow-mo stuff. And I remember being younger watching that and be like, oh, whoa, yeah, like, whoosh, it's amazing. But when I watch it now, especially doing fight stuff now, when you watch it now, it's like, it's a little annoying because I just want to see the stunt.
Yeah.
And I get that, like, slowing it down shows it off, but it doesn't always show off the speeds that those stunt performers have worked to get to.
Yeah.
If you slow it down so many times.
I like the alleyway scene probably the most. Where
is that the one where he breaks that guy's like arm?
Yes. That was the most.
Yeah, that was
probably the most impressive one. Like he done it again in Batman vs Superman actually when he fucking he breaks the arm again, but he doesn't do it in slow motion this time. He does it in a way of like it's in normal speed and the guy's just like screaming his guts off because he's basically just broke his arm. Like it was quite good. I'm a sucker for Snyder, I must admit. So like he's just awesome in my opinion. But like obviously he's got his flaws and stuff. But I think people are out to get him, man, because Rebel Moon just got a bad score as well.
That's his new one.
Yeah.
I've not looked that up. I'll need to give it a watch. I've not seen any reviews on it. I would probably have to go in kind of blind. I don't know.
Audience score is high. That's what I'll say. So like, usually I trust the audience score a bit more than anything else because a lot of my all-time favourites also have low scores in that as well, and I'm like, it's not necessarily true because like even like Walk Among the Tombstones, like I think is one of the most best overlooked films of all time. I think that's got like 68% or something, like maybe 65, and it's like, but it's 10 times better than that. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I still need to watch that. I've put it on my list from when we last spoke.
Yeah.
And
right, I've got a final.
Moving on.
A final three for you.
We could talk for like 6 hours, mate.
I
Honestly,
know,
we would just keep going on tangents.
What happened with being Nathan and all? I have this effect, you know. Like.
All right, hit your question then.
So, favorite film of all time?
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
My statistics for this are based on how many times you've watched the movie. I would always say that constitutes as your favorite film because it means you can't get bored of it. And that for me is Matrix Reloaded. Easy.
Nice.
If I was to do like a count of the amount of times I watched that on VHS, and then the ability to scene select on DVD. I would come in from school and just select Neo versus the 100 Agents. I'd just watch that, and I'd watch from there at the end.
Awesome.
And I would literally do it like every single day when I came in from school. So
It's a good
that
choice,
is a very easy answer. It's not the best film, but it is my favorite film.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You've got to look at it that way, because like you watch it over and over and over again. Like for me, I'll never get sick of Prisoners, just because of what it is and how it inspired me to make films in the first place. So and no fight scenes in that, but there's some brutal scenes in it.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's some of the best like visual storytelling in like recent cinema. You could watch that film with the sound off, and you would
because like
understand all of it.
Easily, he could be my favorite director. He's not, but most of my favorite films are his, and it's crazy.
Yeah?
Like
Dennis,
do you
like 2049 then?
Sorry,
do you like 2049 then? Blade Runner,
I love it, mate. I still think Blade Runner is just a tiny bit better, but like that film is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm the same camp. I like them. I probably like them both equally. I actually think maybe like 2049 a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just because I really like Ryan Gosling's character in that movie, even though he's a robot. I found I had so much more like sympathy for him than I did Deckard in the first one, because he's actually like doing detective work. Yeah. Whereas Deckard kind of does detective work in the first one, but not as much as him.
The best. I loved the glass shot of of the replicant trying to get away from Deckard in the first one.
Oh yeah, where they run
and then and he's obviously shooting the gun. It's quite an iconic scene, that actually. But with the more I look at it, I think they're both probably on par. They're probably next to each other more than anything. I think Blade Runner is one of these films that I kind of looked at and I'm thinking, that's the one film that I keep looking at. I had to watch maybe 3 times to actually understand how good of a movie it is. Yeah. And I'm like,
I get that.
I was again, he's made Arrival, he's made Dune. What else has he made? Sicario again, phenomenal.
Love that film.
I thought the second one could have been a bit better. Still a good film though.
He's not.
He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Again, it would have been probably a good film if he did do it right enough. But sorry. The second question is, if you were to pick one movie to watch on IMAX of your choice, what would it be?
Okay. So most of the films that came out on IMAX, I'll always try and see on IMAX. There's one film that I wasn't available to watch on IMAX because where I was living at the time. So I'm picking one that I know is good in IMAX, and that's The Dark Knight, the first Dark Knight. I did not get to see that in IMAX, and I've still never seen that in IMAX. I saw Rises and every other Nolan film, and like since then, IMAX was like, that's always my go-to. But I've always wanted to watch that whenever Cineworld or whoever does a re-release.
Dark Knight on IMAX, man. I think that would have been phenomenal.
That middle scene with the truck, that would have been mind-blowing. Because I remember I don't know if that's what they used to show the studio or whatever, but they basically fought to get specifically that scene done in IMAX and changing the aspect ratio. And I know that probably wasn't the first movie to do it, but Nolan did definitely make that a popular choice to be like, you can have like the IMAX moment where it was full screen, and it really like makes that. I don't know, it's incredible that whole bit. But I'm trying to think of stuff that isn't shot in IMAX that would be good on that screen. But that one's because it's so designed around the IMAX, like
he shoots everything
in the pre-production
on IMAX cameras. That's the thing, doesn't he? So, but he says, I think that like Nolan's takes are like Alien. I think that would be a great IMAX film. Aliens, Blade Runner, 2001. Like these films you'd think would be phenomenal in IMAX. You know what I mean? And restorations. You know what I mean?
It would be, I'd love that if they were able to do that, like able to sort of upscale it to the to IMAX quality.
Like,
yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, that would
Shining.
be terrifying.
Yeah, like
Jack
there's just
Nicholson's
something
face would
about
be so big.
even if I was to watch that in 70mm, I think I would really enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but okay,
Oh,
your
here's a
final.
good
What you
an
saying?
old one, a really old one. Seven Samurai in
Oh,
IMAX.
fucking Seven Samurai. Oh, it's
That
too
would
good.
be.
That's Kurosawa's best, without a doubt.
If when you ask like favorite film, like I would say that's like the best film. I would argue that Seven Samurai is like the best film ever made. Like
Yeah.
it invented so many filmmaking like tropes that are copied. Like I would always say it's the best. Right, so I've only got a few minutes.
Yeah, sorry.
We keep going off on tangents.
Yeah, like your last question is basically your favorite director of all time.
Favorite director ever. Tell me yours, and I'll think.
My
It's hard to pick
favorite.
like, exactly one.
It keeps changing.
Right.
It keeps changing. I think it has to go with. It has to be Nolan, I think.
Oh, really?
But at the same time, I like Quentin because like he's a writer and director, and he likes to keep.
Yeah.
You know, he that's the kind of director I like. I've got a top 5 easily, but yeah, it's always between those two because I think Nolan is this perfectionist. He knows himself it doesn't exist, but he keeps it as good as he can, and he does a fucking good job at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. If I had to pick just one for pure nostalgia reasons and visual storytelling, and I love being able to watch a movie with the sound off and always understand every single like aspect of it. You might not get like the nuance of specific characters, but for me, Spielberg is always at the top for me because of how he shoots. It's like
he's
how
in my
I
top
like to
5.
shoot, where like keeping the shot going, but not having a long shot for the sake of just not cutting and showing off. It's like the way he shoots, he can have 11 different shots without cutting.
Yeah,
but
like
purely on blocking, like alone, like I would probably say he's my favorite.
100%. I think that Spielberg is the one guy that could shoot any genre.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because like he just made a West Side Story, which was a musical.
Yeah.
He's made superhero films. He's made Indiana Jones. He's made E.T. He's made like Bridge of Spies. Like I'm just saying random ones, but like the guy could literally make anything. Do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of variety in his catalog.
Which I think is just you don't really get that with some directors. Like I think Scorsese has it. I don't think he makes musicals or anything though. Like he makes very deeper films than that. So. But like he still has a good variety, but I think Spielberg takes the cake on that one. Like when people talk about filmmakers, they know Spielberg, and there's a reason for that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, totally. It's really it's such a big question. Like to actually narrow that down. But in terms of ticking all the boxes of everything that I love and everything that got me into film, it would probably have to be Spielberg. There are like definitely like small scale like indie filmmakers and things like that who I really love right now. But if you would say like favorite of all time,
I wish I could give you more, but like because there's so many I know and stuff. But like obviously the time's tick. We need a part 2 for this one, man.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. No, that was great. That was brilliant. Thanks very much for inviting me on.
It's a good talk, mate. As I said, the time goes by too fast with me. So.
So quick, we absolutely should.
And he could like when it comes to movies, man, you're never going to stop with me, you know. So
that's good. That's the right format to be on. Then that was amazing.
Man, but let's keep in touch, man, because obviously with your filming that, like, we'd like to have a meeting with you in regards of like your short and stuff with package. And, I'd really want to work with you guys. Same with Daredevil as well. Like I think that you understand it at the same level 100%. As me. So I'm like, I've got the right team there. Yeah, for sure. You've got you guarantee a good team in Apple Tree for sure, and like you've got David and Nico in the stunts department as well. So
nice one.
You've got it in good hands, man. But
fantastic.
Mate, like as I said, thanks again for joining Filmmakers and Filmmaking, and we'll try and get part 2 for an expansion.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, mate. No worries.
No problem at all. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Will do, man. Okay, excellent. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. And I'll see you soon, yeah.
Lovely. Okie dokie. I don't know how to leave this. Well, what did I do?
I think this is the next. You can go on. I don't know.
Do that. Okay, right. Bye.
See you soon,
Thank you
my
very
man.
much, mate.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.